We take the stories you've been reading about in your newspaper and watching on television all week, and we put our spin on it. It's primarily local stories, and no one else is doing it. Keeping in mind that, the newspaper has limited space to get into these stories in depth, and television has like 90 seconds max for a good story. So what we do is we take more time with it and try to explain what's going on, what's happening in the background of these cases, what's caused them, what is the reason for these stories. And like we tell you every week, it's only our opinion. You can accept or reject it. But we're going to have our say, and I might mention to you that on flinttalk.com, this program is rebroadcast in part every day of the week, so if you want to go and see a portion of it on a particular day, you can see it. And then it will be rebroadcast in its entirety on Friday night at 8:30 to 9:30. So if you miss it, or you know somebody who's missed it that wants to see it, just remind them it's also on Friday night from 8:30 to 9:30. Our program tonight is 8 to 9. Well, we have a lot of stories we want to discuss with you, and there's a lot of history and background that I'm sure you didn't get from the regular news media, and we want to talk to you about those things. We want to talk to you about this craziness going on down at Flint City Hall, and the battle between the mayor and now the city police and the city council. It's deja vu all over again, apparently. But, there are some differences, and we want to talk about it. And we also want to go to that catastrophe happening over there at the Flint Board of Education. How could that happen where the board would hire a pedophile, a child molester, and put him in to the second most important job in the city school system? Now, here's a guy that has access to around 17,000 of our children, and he's got this big job. What happened? How did he get this job? What broke down that would allow this to happen? We'll discuss that with you, and we have some information about that case that will be interesting to you. We also want to talk to you about the Genesee County millage for senior citizens and how it's breaking out and what's happening, and how some people or some communities may be left out of the mix on this thing, the way things are going. They'll be paying, and the issue of double taxation will come into play again, and we'll discuss that. And there's some indication that that's already happening. And it's not fair. And that's the whole idea of government, is to be fair. And then we want to maybe talk, if we have time, about the ambulance service, where recommendations have been made to establish a single ambulance system for the entire county with one 911 response radio. So there's some very good ideas here that we want to discuss that will be attacked politically, and I think we want to share those with you. If we don't do it this week, we'll do it next week, so that you will have some insight on what's going on here. But anyway, let me just mention for a moment the action of another school district that did the right thing, finally. Here's the headlines in the Journal on a week ago tomorrow. It says, new athletic director, new AD aims to revive Bucks pride. This is a young man they've hired by the name of Courtney Hawkins. You may have heard about him before. Certainly people in their 30s and 40s have, because he was a great athlete that came out of Flint Beecher. All-state twice, went to Michigan State, All-American twice down at Michigan State, drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, played for 8 or 9 years with them, All-Pro. Every place he went, he was respected, and he was a credit to his community and his team. Never anything bad said about him. This young man could live anywhere. I'm sure that the salaries, the contracts he had made him quite well off. He could live in California. He could live in Florida. He could live any place with the nice warm weather. But he chose to come back to Flint. And he chose to go back to his old school, who was having clearly some hard times. And he said, I'd like to help. And he offered, they had no athletic director, he offered himself as first a football coach, and then he says, hey, if you want me to run the athletic department, I'll do that, because he was also a fine basketball player, a track star, everything. And you know, here's a school district in trouble, especially their athletic program that's going down in the toilet. And this man, who was really one of the greats of Beecher High School, who played when they had the great team,